We know who Europe is sending to the major, but we don't know who is going to be hoisting the flag as the #1 team on the way. Who's going over with all of the momentum? Johnny, I cannot wait for this. It is time for our European Grand Prix finals.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff to witness. Not only do we get to see Endpoint win a regional early in the split, we get to confirm that it wasn't, as some were calling it, a flash in the pan. Done it again, made it to a final, but I tell you what, they're down already. Both teams going for a very close streak kickoff, and Endpoint have not got a goalkeeper. Seiko turning up the line here, not able to cover the net. Metza unable to get in the way of Archie. That's 1-0 SMPR already.
Yeah, it's already very different to what Endpoint were against earlier on. They got back-to-back kickoff goals against Dignitas. Kind of stole that game, but this time around, they've been immediately informed of what they are up against. SMPR have been finding their form throughout this split. It's not necessarily been the quickest show of strength. Here they are, grand finals against the only team that we've got that can get themselves 2 tournament victories. As we see the shot, look at the top corner. What a great save by Archie and Chaussette, making sure that there's going to be no follow-up danger. Something that SMPR are going to be very good at here, actually, is going to be to smother the follow-up shots and not allow any other additional movements. Very difficult to find a rebound against a team like this.
Yeah, SMPR need to be careful looking out for those changes of playstyle coming out of Endpoint. BDS were very consistent throughout their semi-final they just played against SMPR. SMPR didn't really need to adapt at all. I expect that they're going to need to, not just because they're against Endpoint, who are a bit more versatile than BDS these days, but because we could be seeing 3 series, at least 2. That's a lot more time to make those adaptations. Nice save there by Metzonaris, deflecting the ball to the safe side of the box. No, chance to the other end. Double, and the last man saves the shot anyway. Casio didn't really know a lot of what was going on there, but through the smoke makes the save.
Well, you can only take out 2, but apparently still wasn't good enough. Now Archie looks to dance around everybody. Let's go still next bit of boost. He's got Relating Wave. Just trying to charge him behind him. Gets the play done beforehand. Back and forth between us. Seiko, he can set up from this sort of position. He's not really going to have the support required. Lots of games to work with. As you mentioned earlier on, Johnny, lots of potential timeouts. Maybe a lot of potential jumping jacks for those over on Endpoint. Don't want to get themselves too tired. Maybe figure out some different things you can do.
They've used their timeout as well. It's no difference from a lot of the other top teams at the moment. I'm really impressed with their abilities to change up the game plan. But SMPR just going to sit on this 1-goal lead, it would seem. They are quite happy to defend. Very far back with their third man, usually, especially compared to the other European teams. Endpoint already showing that they're wanting to take those players out of the frame. That's a shot for Seiko. It's going to go through, but not past Casio again. Second goal line save for him.
That 1-0 lead is going to stay where it is. Casio just taps the ball on. Want to see if he could find a little bit of space where a blue car was not. Oh, double commit, but they'll be just fine. Plenty of time to reset. That's at least the good news. The bad news, it's more time off the clock that they could really use to find that goal. Seiko looks for the shot. More than easy enough for Chaussette. The best goalkeepers that we have got over in Europe. The backboard. Not exactly the boom and clear Relating Wave would have been after. It's going to drop down awkwardly. You can already see it. 2 players both went up, and I don't think that was listed a communication error. As it was, we need to get into the air to make sure we're not going to get hit.
Yeah, they're just happy to commit to that near post. They don't want to let the ball center. Make sure they keep control as well and land quickly. That's the key for SMPR. Keep these fast recoveries coming through. An uncontested shot from Relating Wave off the post this time.
What is it going to take?
Endpoint just can't get that goal. They're still pressing for it though. Metza past 1, uses the ceiling to center the ball. Archie runs out of boost midair. He can't get to it. Neither can Casio. It's surely going to come for Endpoint. Seiko double. It's denied by the bar.
You've hit the last player after 2 demos. You've hit the post. You've hit the crossbar. Surely they've zeroed in on this at this point. No way do Endpoint not get a goal. Up goes Relating Wave. Oh! Finally in.
Forcing it through Relating Wave. Just absolutely slamming it on target. They're starting fast in the grand final. This is what we criticized them of yesterday. They just didn't have the snap on their shots until later on in their quarterfinal. Not the same today. They are coming out hot. SMPR have to respond now. They really don't want to leave themselves in that kind of position. Shot set. Denied, but not actually enough. Seiko got a touch on it, but it's got in.
I think that's a great example of hitting the ball so hard, it doesn't matter who's there. Shot set puts it low. Attempt from Seiko. And yeah, you can hear from Johnny exactly why Relating Wave might have wanted that himself.
Yeah, it looked like Seiko just called it, and he was pretty confident that he had a save there, but you can't dodge downwards. Oh, Relating Wave's off the post and out. That bounce really just did him there. He wasn't ready for it. Not that you can blame him. That might be just open for Archie. Shawsette's going to put it in instead. Archie didn't have boost. Shawsette does. Wow, what a turnaround. Semper lost the lead. Now they've got it and doubled it.
This is going to be an awful loss for Endpoint if this ends up going against them because, well, they should have scored. They've got 3 against them. They will feel that they could have easily scored 4. Oh, yeah. The amount of shots that they've had, the positions that they've been in. Endpoint really up against it here. 45 seconds to get themselves 2 goals. The tap on from Archie. He's got this Castillo, and right move from Castillo. Play this in a way that only involves you, doesn't ruin the rotation for your team, and takes off as much time as possible. Archie, once again, manages to read where that ball was going. Metzer looking to try and give his team at least 1 more shot. And Semper continues to prove that they will just kill as much time off the clock every single opportunity they get, and they're so good at it.
It's interesting to see the strategy that Endpoint have gone for here. Physical play being prioritized against the very defensive backline of Semper. That is expected, but notice all the ground play as well. They've really tried to keep this one low, despite the wonderful solo aerial plays that we saw from them in the semi-final. It's not going to pay off here, though. And it is in fact going to be another goal there for Archie, just skipping over the line on 0 seconds. Game is already confirmed, of course. Yeah, Semper just took the chances. Clinical performance from them, and I like what I'm seeing from all 3 players today, not just the Archie show like it was yesterday.
Absolutely not. Semper coming straight in with the momentum of winning their previous series. Looking very good here. And as you mentioned, Endpoint a lot more demo focused this time around. Maybe taking a couple of cues from the Dignitas team that they were just up against. Semper is about keeping all of those players in motion. And I like that. I like what they're doing defensively. I appreciate that it's not just a panic mode to try and outplay as many people as possible. It's just get a player behind the ball, make sure you can force the challenge. And defensively, unless your opponents want a full send for it, you should have somebody in a better position for the follow-up after the challenge.
Yeah, the Semper defense, it has such high potential. I mean, we've all seen what Shawsette can do in the past, and you wonder, is Shawsette just not ever going to reach that peak ability again? A lot of interest in him from several teams in the offseason would suggest that they still have a lot of faith in him having that ability. And it's all about the defense for me when I'm watching Shawsette play. That's how you can tell if he's playing well. Is he making saves, or is he just missing his pre-jumps? Is he actually landing quickly and making multiple plays in defense, or is he just out the game for an extended period of time? That's been the key for this guy's, I think, at least a year of his Rocket League career into last season. Today, absolutely phenomenal. Semper are making saves across the board. Casio had a couple of clutch ones in that first game, sorry. And of course, we all know what Archie can do. So if they can all keep this up, they look phenomenal. And they're doing this at the perfect time as well, right before the major in Sweden.
Yeah, for Shawsette, I feel like this is a very good team dynamic for him, purely because we've got I'm sure people at home as well got sick of us talking about like Shawsette being the talisman of the teams that he's on, and then he doesn't perform and we just start questioning it. Now he's with a team with a player like Archie on it, who will very happily see as much of that ball as he possibly can. Shawsette can now do what he does best. He's a fantastic reader of the game. And now that you've got someone that's sort of setting the pace for you, Shawsette can now focus more on that strength.
Nice mind game there by Shawsette. 50-50s have also been solid for him. That's not something Semper have always been known for. Preferring to go for clean out plays than brute force. Flip reset for Seiko. Goes right through Castillo's 50 midair. That's another double commit technically in defense for Semper, but really no problem about that. You might as well just throw as many bodies in the way of that shot and make sure that the save is actually coming through. Great interception by Shawsette. Again, making huge plays, denying Endpoint that offensive pass.
Endpoint have really struggled to break down Semper so far. The good news is they've been trying different things. Metza, 0 boost. Can't quite get it past Chaussette. Two of the longest standing veterans that we've got in the scene, let alone just in this grand finals. That's the pass over to Archie. Well read by Seiko. Difficult to even figure out that your opponent can make that angle for the pass. Yeah, somehow Seiko proving that mechanics isn't the only thing he can do. He's also exceptional at figuring out what the next play is. Chaussette, bit of time, wins the challenge. And the SMPR getting a little bit more used to as this goes along. Powerful shot, Seiko. Well, I've been happy to let that one hit the crossbar, but also wanted to make sure of it.
Still very composed performance from SMPR. No surprise now after the run they've had this weekend. Of course, everybody knows what Endpoint can do in a bracket after Regional 1 for Europe. They're just using Chaussette brilliantly here as that cleanup man in defense. He is making sure to always be there. But now here's Seiko. Early flip for him will center to Metza. SMPR quick to recover as always, just keeping as many bodies behind the ball as they can.
Metza's tasked with holding the midfield. He's done exactly that. You see SMPR, a lot of the camera angles that we're going over to on them starts off with them being either no boost or less than 30. And difficult for them to really manage it thus far, but it's not led to them being caught out until Metza's shot. Wasn't much on it, but that was maybe the most difficult part of that shot, was that it didn't really have the power that a lot of players would have expected it to have. Gonna be following up to the backboard, relating wave, making sure that Archie isn't going to get himself a freebie. Halfway through game number 2. Relating wave outpaces Seiko. It's going to be a tough angle. He'll always give it a go. He wasn't following. That's the follow. Somehow it was almost saved, but Metza got enough purchase on the ball to turn it in for 1-0.
A great angle shot from Metza with the air roll. How about that from Casio as well? Having to dodge just to get around that ball and turn what looked like an own goal into a save. But the spin as the ball hit the post just sent it right back into the net. 1-0 Endpoint. Seiko going to try and make it 2 here. He's up against Chaussette and he gets past him. Seiko doubles it up for Endpoint.
This time it's Endpoint that gets some kickoff goals. Look at that, Chaussette. He dares him. And Seiko, well, he'll never back down from the dare. 2-0 to Endpoint, answering back fantastically after game number 1 got away from them. And now we switch the way we look at this, Johnny, because we now know that SMPR struggled from behind. I mean, Endpoint struggled when they were behind. They gave up a couple of freebies. What is SMPR going to do now that they're the team they have to chase?
I mean, just looking at the reactions from the Endpoint boys every time they score, even when something goes wrong, I just love what I'm seeing from them.
That could be a fantastic game. We just get a whole bunch of cameras from Metza after goals have gone in, and you just have to guess, did they concede or score?
So what happened in the run-up to this one? I mean, that's what you want in a teammate. You want people that, when you get a good goal, they hype you up. And when you mess up, as inevitably happens at some point for even the best Rocket League players, you've got teammates who back you up. And Endpoint have got that in spades. They've got that in-person chemistry as well. I think that's going to give them so much more comeback potential in a long series like this. It's key for SMPR to stay close and try just to make sure not to let Endpoint run away with any games or a streak of games. That being said, SMPR have had a few impressive comebacks in best of 5s recently, so it's not entirely Endpoint who've got the comeback potential of this matchup. I think it just shows that they've got more of it.
Off the backboard, Archie can't run to the shot. Instead, he taps it off the shot.
Wow.
Unreal passing play. And how about that for a lack of selfishness?
Oh, look at that pass from Archie. Chaussette is right beside him. But the blind pass hits the target. Chaussette does not miss the shot. That's really well done. Full team passing play. Everybody in the final third. Everybody pretty much in the Endpoint box there. And we're talking about SMPR players. They are really putting it together here as a full team. Casio at the back post. He's actually intercepted the clear, but the Lightning Wave will guide it onwards to the midfield.
We've been here. Chaussette lost it last time. This time he'll do fine.
It's always dangerous when you see Seiko coming at these players. You know, you might not know because he hasn't had the presence in the 1v1 scene as some of the other top players in EU, but he is phenomenal in solo positions.
Yeah, unbelievably difficult to get the read on. Chaussette, always just unbelievably difficult to win a challenge against. So it does make it a very interesting matchup, and hopefully we'll get to see that one play out a few more times in a very short stint of 1v1. For now, though, 20 seconds. That ball is exactly when they want it to be. Drops down. Metza Taps it on. Relating wave. He's going to follow. Just keep that ball as far away from the blue side of the field as is possible. Cassio realizes that he's going to get one more shot at this. Bit of a wasteful hit, really. Not too sure where he wanted that one to go. And with that one dropping to the ground, we've got ourselves a tied-up series.
Really big game there for Endpoint. Immediately ending that winning streak that SMPR were on when you combine their semi-final end and the start of the final here. Endpoint have gotten right back into this, and wow, what a team. I'm so impressed that Metsonoris is not just playing in grand finals in the most, I think, volatile and the most unpredictable region that Rocket League has ever seen. You know, if we compare this season's EU to any other EU season or any other season of any region, this is, I think, the most ridiculous it's ever been. And Met's still here in grand finals, and he doesn't look out of place mechanically. You always expect to see those older players to just be clinging on to relevancy, but he's brilliant. He's learned to roll right, left. He's completely reinvented himself. Hats off to him. I mean, that's just so inspiring to see.
Meta, I feel, and feel free to disagree with me, he feels more relevant to the games that he's in now than he was in Season 5.
I agree. Like, absolutely.
It's ridiculous. I've never seen somebody, well, actually, we've seen quite a few because you've had to be honest, but Meta, he felt like he was one of those players, you say, oh, he's a positioning player, you know, he'll be fine. That was a kind of a warning shot to a lot of people. I was saying, all right, you're a positioning player, you're going to get overtaken by the highly mechanical players that also learn positioning.
Yeah.
Meta's gone the opposite direction. He's got so much Rocket League IQ that he's now supplementing with mechanics.
Yeah, that's maybe going to inspire some other Rocket League legends to slap on the air roll right and left and make a comeback to the top. I'm thinking, of course, Cuxter with his almost top 8 appearance this weekend's EU event. That'd be pretty cool to see. Overlating wave, denied by Cassio. SMPR still putting in big saves. Oh, what a touch by Metza. Getting an extra piece on the end of that one that I don't think SMPR were expecting. Nobody on his team expected him to pull it off either.
Both teams do a really good job of not showing their hand too early on the plays. They give their opponents a lot of different looks, give a lot of different threats, and then just switch it up at the last possible moment. Letting wave keeps that pressure on. This is one of the more frequent uses you'll see. Backboard attempt. Good enough though. Chaussette just gets rid. Won't worry about anything else for the time being. Don't look at that orange side of the field too much longer. Now their opportunities are going to start coming towards them. Chaussette is clattered into, and now a chance for Endpoint. Chaussette's trying to recover. He's done enough. So that's the reason why what's going on the ball is very important, but everyone at home, you got to keep an eye on what's happening away from the ball as well, because one hit can completely disrupt the rotation.
A nice little mid-air pinch attempted there from SMPR. Weren't far off connecting cleanly with it. Endpoint sticking to the game plan. I love that from them. They've lost game 1, but they know that it wasn't really the game plan that was the problem. They were just missing out in the final touches, the execution of those shots. Now the demos are still raining in, and this is a really grounded play. Doesn't look like the kind of thing SMPR wants to go up against. Here's Chaussette. Oh, what challenge by Seiko. He just predicted that first touch by Chaussette. An immediate shot would have gone past him, but he read Chaussette on that one.
Why are we getting so many Chaussette versus Seiko 1v1 situations? I'm all for it. That was Chaussette's first opportunity to be at least on the offensive side. Didn't quite do anything for it, so it still remains 1-0 to Seiko, at least in that regard. Archie's going to have his own attempt, and once again, Seiko's having absolutely none of that. Drops down. Who's going to be the first of this play? Cassio daring the challenge to come on. Opportunity passed over to Archie. That wasn't the best touch from Chaussette. Archie tries to keep the play going. You need to be so on point, so precise with your execution, Chaussette. Seiko versus Archie. Archie's got yet another one put past him by an unrelenting Seiko.
This guy's just got it all. Simply, he's just got the aerial game. And he's got the grind game as well. He just waits until Archie commits, flies around the right-hand side of the ball, and puts the shot behind him. Unbelievable from Seiko. Just get this man the ball in the final third, and he'll do the rest. How do you stop him? You need at least 2 players. You can't just expect to solo defend consistently against this guy.
Way.
Oh, relaying wave. Maybe not quite. Seiko, though, still denied. Cassio's huge.
How are they coming up with this so quickly? Everyone is just so keenly aware of the other 5 players on the pitch. It's going to be relating wave. He doesn't need any help. He's going to try and take it by himself. 1-0 still the scoreline. Endpoint just want to hold on for a little while longer. They're going to look at another one. And it is an unfortunate own goal. Ball would have been on the goal line. And that is going to be credited to Relating Wave.
Well, Archie's a bit cheeky with his positioning on that one. Just a touch off the goal line, like you said. Could easily be inside it. And that would have been a much easier clear to make. But I mean, Archie does like to do that. He'd rather stay close to the ball in defense and rely on his mechanics to get him out of those awkward positions. But you do wonder, would it just be easier to get in the net there? And then you don't even need to be mechanical to make the save.
Oh, Shosset's caught a little bit out here. Metza looking to try and make it 3. Relating Wave will have the option to do so. They decided that 2 goal leads is enough. Don't need to overcome it in that 3rd-man role. Seiko's not done just yet. Oh, Seiko's not a one-shot wonder. He was phenomenal in the European Open, and he's letting us know that that was not a one-off.
I love that he's able to place that as well. Lean back reset into a ground pinch, and he's actually placing where the shot goes. This guy is just unbelievable. Easily the best player on the pitch at the moment when it comes to offensive plays. He's got 2 of the best in the business backing him up behind him. Seiko almost puts another one on. That's the crossbar to the rescue of Semper, up for the first time this series.
Archie off the ceiling. Metza can't quite get the ball before him. That is also a double commit. Huge opportunity to at least get 1 back before it's too late. Metza ends up leaving it. That could very well be game 3, heading over to Endpoint. Archie over to the far side. Unless this goes in almost immediately, it will be game 3 done and dusted. What a series we have had so far. We've got potential for 19 more of these. Endpoint have got the lead.
Man, Seiko is just unstoppable in offense at the moment. But how about Relating Wave as well? So many key touches in the midfield. I struggle to think of a player who reads the game as well as he does recently. He's absolutely at the top tier. Just predicting what the other team are going to do, being in the right place at the right time, and making it all look so easy as well. This is, I think, the reason why Endpoint looks so consistent at the moment is this guy at the back, Relating Wave. Such a good defender and such a good presence for them. And you rarely see him make a bad touch. It's something that he just quietly gets done again and again. Semper timeout now. Deep thought for Cassio and Archie there. Shosset not going to try and open any cans, so he means business as well.
Yeah, overall, I mean, Relating Wave, he just crunches every single challenge that he's ever a part of. It is very difficult to get anything that is going to just go straight past him. Semper, they are now taking their time out. Currently on the day, 4-0 on the game afterwards for the team that just took the time out. So they'll look to try and add to that. Get us to a 2-game each series. I'm wondering what's being said right there, because we've seen how it's very obvious over on the Endpoint side what's going on. You get a chance to see them. They're all standing up. They're all chatting to each other. But when you've got a team like that, it gets a little bit more dubious as to what information is currently being conveyed.
If I were to guess what the conversation sounds like for Semper at the moment, I would imagine it mostly revolves around how to stop Seiko, because Relating Wave's putting in work in defense, but they don't really need to worry about that. That's not putting the ball in their net. It's Seiko who's really just ripping them apart mostly. And he's, I think, the thing that they've got to address. He's just, every time he gets into a 1v1, he outplays the man in front of him. So pretty simple answer to how to sort that out is don't leave anyone alone against Seiko. You never really want to leave anyone alone against anyone in 3v3. That's the point of having 3 players in the field, but especially Seiko. You cannot give this guy a free run at your teammate. You have to pressure the ball when he's got it. You need to go early and make him force a move before he's right in front of your net and putting it in the top corner.
It feels like this is something that we saw Semper develop against BDS that worked against BDS, sitting very deep, allowing BDS to sort of make their own plays. All right, we're fine. We're out of backside of the field. We can just take the boost, get rid of the ball nice and easy. But when you're against a team like this, suddenly not trying to contest that midfield becomes a little bit more dangerous, because you are going to give Seiko that kind of space. So it will be very interesting to see now heading into game 5 with what seems to be a timeout buff by their side. What Semper can do. Chaussette looking to instantly try and take something. The relating wave, as always, directly in front of the play.
Yeah, and you're just not going to have many mistakes to this guy to count. Relating wave, again, controlling the ball and baiting in a 50-50. Oh, Metza's not in a comfortable spot there, though. That's 1-0 for Semper. That timeout buff immediately effective. Metza Norris. Expect that he would have had that one covered. It looks like he just ended up in no man's land. Side onto the play.
Yeah, it's a horrible one when you arrive to the play too early. You just turned around, maybe, I don't know where his rotation was in. I don't know if he went back post or straight through the middle of the field. But it looked like he went through the middle of the field and realized, okay, I'm back. That's about as good as I've done in terms of positioning. I am completely out of this play. The 1-0. Oh, it's gonna be off the post. And now it's a chance to break away. Archie, he's got a decent amount of booster just to keep trying to pressure this one. Chaussette goes straight for net, and Relating Wave will make no such positioning mistakes.
Oh, Met's actually not interested in headlocking with Archie there. I'm surprised to see that because Archie has been such a force to be reckoned with. Locking him up seems like a decent play, but maybe that's just not something that Endpoint have agreed to do in their bootcamp strategy talks. Chaussette with good positioning at the back post there, covering the only dangerous angle. Of course, he can lunge to the other side of the net, but once you've committed forward, you can't easily go back when you are driving a car. Seiko goes straight through this one, though. And what looked like Semper had under control very quickly went against him. And Relating Wave are just so fast to recycle that play.
Decided to finally use the crossbar to their own advantage for that one. What a great setup that is. An Endpoint proving that they can be flashy, they can be tricky, you just need a couple of disguise passes, but they can also go for the good old faithful of Rocket League. Hit the ball really hard off the backboard and make sure you're the quickest on the follow-up. Been there since Rocket League Season 0. It will always be nice and effective. Now an opportunity to find the lead. Get themselves over to series point off the backboard. This is how they scored previously. This time not quite with the players in the right positions to crunch through another shot. Archie hands off to Castillo. Awkward bounce for everybody. Chaussette now tasked with trying to create something. Not the best touch either. That's going to invite Castillo in. He lays it off to Chaussette.
Oh.
Too high, but where's the follow? There it is. 2-1.
Chaussette showing that he's got a backup plan here. Fakes the shot. Instead goes to the backboard. That's baited 2 jumps out of Endpoint. And he's trusting Archie to place the shot as he comes in as the third man. So both teams are actually committing their third man and being rewarded. They're all attacking together as a unit. And they're confidently passing back to him with those backboard passes. Much safer than going infield to your third man. Really impressive team play by both squads in offense.
Super helpful for that play from Chaussette. As we look to see this one just getting cleared. Is that when you see those infield passes come across, those shots are always so powerful that you have to respect it, as Archie has to respect this from Metza. There is no choice. You've got to jump. So the moment Chaussette makes the decision of, all right, well, I'm going to put it off the backboard, there's nothing the defense can do. You have to just assume this is going to be on net. Now see Chaussette looking to create yet another one. It's just so difficult right now for Endpoint to get rid of it. And Semper have made that adjustment that we wanted to see. That midfield is much more contested, and Endpoint really struggling to find any space. Castillo instantly with the half rotation. This is less about creating opportunities and just making sure that it's much more difficult to find a rhythm on Endpoint. And a couple of demos as well. Castillo gets rid of the third man. Finally, Seiko back into the play, back in for the save.
Yeah, it's all about those early challenges for Semper. It's working out wonderfully for them. No space really for Seiko to work with and make his magic happen compared to the earlier games that we saw between these two teams. Endpoint are not a one-trick pony. They're not just going to rely on Seiko to score solo goals. They will press late on in this one and attack with all 3 players, as they already have done in this game. Here's Metza. He's well saved by Castillo again. Full squad showing up for Semper consistently in defense here. Difficult saves being made every single time.
We were wondering what was said during that timeout. Whatever it was the right things, because these have been really good adaptations from them. Now, whether or not that's going to get them a game win is an entirely different matter, but they're 1 minute away from it. Metza, oh, not the landing he wanted, but that does at least invite Relating Wave to come in. Probably a Relating Wave who had more boost. Well, the worst thing actually for them. Still pressure on. Shot on net, right into the body of Shosset's car. This is where Endpoint want to be, especially relating wave. What a cheeky play that was. Little fakes, not getting too pressured by the timer. It's Archie, crucial interception, and now he looks to break the other side.
Yeah, great read by Archie. Metz has actually just missed the back corner boost there for Endpoint. A couple of key boost pickups for Semper, helping them out here. Cassio deflects the ball into the corner as Metza was trying to drop it down. The Lightning Wave will manage to do so in the midfield. Metza beats his man to the ball. Only one back right now for Semper, but it's Archie. Gets one touch on it, but it's not a good one. Seiko puts it into the open net. Archie was able to reach the ball, but he had to stall for a bit longer. His teammates are not back anytime soon.
It's just that moment right there when you're in that position on the backboard. You want the ball to be hitting the backboard, but it was just dropping down far too low for him. Couldn't get the hit on it, couldn't get under the ball. We're at 2 each. And more importantly, Endpoint could be a goal away from giving themselves 3 series points. Archie scored! And it was a slow roller across the field. Here's his last hit. And that's all it took.
Oh, Cassio's faked that relating wave of beauty there. Not intentional by any means. He wanted to get a touch on that and just slam it into the roof of the net. But relating wave, anticipating a hit, ends up missing the ball. Now, no time left for Endpoint. They've got to equalize on 0 seconds, and it's not going to happen. Semper keep up the streak of teams winning after they call a timeout and tie up the series in the process.
5-0 now for timeout teams. But none of these games have looked easy. I even feel like that game 1, the 4-1, that was very much not telling you the story of that one, considering I think we managed to hit every single bit of the woodwork about 2 different times each.
Yeah.
That could very well have been a completely different game. We are in. I'm just curious now as to who can break the other team, who can get that first really dominant game in their back pocket and start to pull away with a couple of victories. Right now, I'm looking across the field. Metza, he's been a little bit slower. I think ever since we complimented him, he's kind of taken a step back. This one was the most noticeable one for me, where he just didn't quite look comfortable on the field.
Yeah, we've got those 2 legends of the game, Chaussette and Metza. They're both trying to outdo each other. And then you've also got Seiko and Archie, very similar in what they're doing for their teams. And I think even Cassio relating wave at the moment, especially with Cassio really being quite a solid third for Semper whenever he's asked to be. We're seeing teams mirror each other very well here. It's just all about who can do more in this matchup. And I'm still leaning towards Endpoint personally. I like what I'm seeing from them. And although Semper have shut down Seiko in the last game pretty well, I think Seiko's still going to have one of those games in the next 2 or 3 where he's just going to score a goal that you cannot stop.
Yeah, the moment you start challenging him in the midfield is the moment we know Seiko's going to take the ball to get to the air. Take it over the top of you. Metza wipes out Chaussette.
Okay.
And Seiko did not need an outplay this time. Could walk it in.
Yeah, big play by Metza. He's hunting down Chaussette here. Look at the pathing over the small boost pads as well. He's darting left and right to keep up full momentum. Make it difficult for Chaussette know which way he should be moving to dodge that demo. And Seiko did not need any help, he didn't need to really work with the finish there. It was just wide open for him. Great stuff by Metza Norris.
Back to the midfield. Seiko almost caught Cassio out. Very static, waiting on the kickoff spot. Chaussette back down, wants his revenge. None too happy about being demoed for the first goal. There we go. Seiko's already taking the ball to the air a lot more. Quite high-low challenges. Relating wave is challenged by Cassio. Does need a bit of support. Not the best hit, though, from Chaussette. Gives Seiko another opportunity. Reset from him. And Archie, strong enough just to get there as quick as possible, not allow any mid-air shenanigans to happen.
Yeah, it's a good read by Archie, anticipating the reset and the flick to the backboard by Seiko. You know that he's good enough to consistently hit those. You have to respect it. Semper have to keep up this midfield pressure. They're doing a much better job of it than earlier in the series. They've got more of a presence in the midfield. The Lightning Wave is still, I think, the man who's got the most control, really working for Endpoint to keep their advantage. Good interception by Chaussette. As Lightning Wave look to dart downfield and get a deflecting touch onto it. Metza quickly out to this one. Castillo knocked onto his own back wall. That's going to actually be a favorable recovery for him. Well, SMPR ready to go and attack here, but they are pretty spread out. They're not getting close-knit. Here we go now. Finally, a tight pass that's going to give Endpoint a more difficult reaction time. Endpoint still comfortable defending against this style.
Oh, Archie, he's got the opportunity, Seiko. I would like to call that a challenge. I don't think he considered that a challenge. That was a very easy victory for him to take control of that ball. And still, these teams desperate to just take out the goalkeeper, get the demo. Get yourself an easy goal. Much higher focus on them. Got another player gone. And we've got another goal scored.
Metza making plays. He sets up the first goal, scores the second one. And that's all on Castillo. Just not the touch that he was looking for. He's trying to clear the ball across the box. Maybe get a second touch as it comes back off the sidewall. But he's missed it straight into the ceiling. And Metza is quick to react to the free ball. Another free goal for Endpoint. SMPR have got 2 minutes and change to change the outcome of Game 5.
Well, that almost did not help. That's not quite able to be stretched towards by Metza. Seiko needed the second touch. He finds the second touch. Seems all too easy for him at the moment on the field. Josette looks for the infield. He's got Archie finally joining him, just a little bit off on the timing. And that leaves Castillo all by himself. Every time you commit to these sort of plays, it leaves them vulnerable to death. Oh! You're always vulnerable, though, to a Seiko outplay. That is just a fact of being on the server.
Look at the tight angle rebound here from Seiko. He doesn't even knock it in with the wheels. He's confident that he's got that angle on lock. Slams it down. There it is. There's your big Seiko play. It was inevitable. It's happened already. You know, the only downside for Endpoint is they're maybe thinking, Seiko, come on, man, you could have saved that for Game 6. We're already up by 2. It doesn't hurt to be up by 3 now. Coasting to a 3-2 lead in the series.
Do you think Seiko does it because he wants everyone to know how good he is? Or do you think he does it because he just wants to see Metza smile every time they go in? It's a great little motivator that you would have.
That is actually so true. I mean, if you've got Metza sitting to the side of you, and every time you make a big play, you get to look at him smiling, you might be onto something here. Metza's going to try and go all the way himself here against Josette, who's out of boost. Metza puts it through him. Second goal for the Finn. Seiko actually wanted a piece of that as well. They're queuing up to take on Josette 1v1.
Well, it'll be nothing but smiles, as you can see, after that one goes in. That is game done. I asked who was going to be the first team to truly dominate one. This is it. Endpoint, 4-0. It would take a catastrophic collapse for them not to take this, especially Metza with a hat trick. And what a hit. Talk about clean.
Metza had a couple hiccups in the last game, but he's been on fire in Game 5. Really helping his team do so much damage to SMPR. And it's tough to imagine SMPR bouncing back from rough defeats like this. We've seen Endpoint, you know, that if they were losing 5-0 Game 5, they'd all still be smiles and no problems, and maybe a timeout and they come back in Game 6, ready for action. It's going to be really interesting to see how SMPR respond to the thrashing they've just suffered in this game.
Yeah, we've seen... It's almost been difficult, actually, for a lot of European teams this weekend, where things have been going wrong. Things have started going really wrong. Now it's up to SMPR to show whether or not they've got that edge to the game. One thing playing at your best, the thing about refinding your best in a series like this. That is as well without their timeout anymore available. Endpoint maybe could always be very nice to them. Very unlikely to do so.
We're just flexing on him at this point. A defensive pinch across his own box. They know that this is not a throwable lead. And they will lead by that crucial game going into the business end of the series. And no timeout available for SMPR. They've already used it. It got them one win immediately afterwards, but Endpoint responded with a 5-0 without even having to take a timeout. They just had a quick word between games and got right back into what looked like by far the best performance from them. It had a bit of everything. Relating Wave just silently controlling the midfield. Seiko got the huge solo play. Metza was mechanically brilliant. What does SMPR do from here? It's a really tough question. They don't have much time to figure that out.
Yeah, this has been... I mean, we got this over from our Statsman Direct earlier on about how much this has been... You know, you mentioned earlier on about the two talisman. We talked about Archie, we talked about Seiko. Archie is currently that player over on SMPR. He's had 87.5% goal participation.
It's crazy.
He is not finding angles if he's not finding space. He's not giving much to his team. And that's full credit. You know, that is not a knock on Archie whatsoever. There's only so much you can be expected to do at that kind of level. But for Endpoint, just how quickly they adapt to the situation ahead of them is exceptional.
Whoa!
Chaussette! Well, that came out of absolutely nowhere.
What a shot by Seiko. Was well saved, and it just shows the respect that SMPR have got to this guy, that even from angles like that, even from positions like these, they are still ready for the potential shots on target, as you always have to be when you're up against a player like Seiko. Even the most difficult reset setups, SMPR have respected them on those. They've been ready to save them, which is a testament to how well they defend, but also a testament to the respect they've got for Seiko as a player.
So, got to win 2 in a row now if you're a SMPR fan. Otherwise, you're up against it. You're one more series away from having coming second, and Endpoint might be marching towards their second tournament victory of the split. Back into the midfield. Met's up. For his chance. It's back down. Seiko, he scored. Of course he scored.
What a pass by Metza, though. Takes it from the midfield up onto the sidewall, catches it on the sidewall before coming down off the ceiling to center the ball. And Seiko just has to deflect it on target. That was exquisite in the assist department from Metza.
Well, Endpoint have started well. Seiko looks to keep adding to it. There's no way. Goodness. Metza just has to turn it in. Seiko is styling in a grand final of the European Grand Prix.
Oh, just too strong. Seiko just muscles it through 2. Wave dash 50-50 after outplaying the first man with a lean back reset as well. Truly unbelievable. First we had Metza setting up Seiko, and now Seiko setting up Metza. The 1-2 punch combination is something that SMPR have not been able to rival. They've combined well with the occasional passing play, and they've had reasonable solo play potential as well, but it's that synergy between Seiko and Metza at the moment that SMPR have absolutely no answer to.
It's a great strategy in Rocket League where you can simply turn to a player like Seiko and just go, yeah, just go and smash him, mate. Easy enough. We'll go and clean up and score the goal after the fact. I cannot believe the level he has found in these past few games. I don't think even SMPR can either. This has been quite something to try and behold. Off the backboard, SMPR looking to just get something going here. Now, a quick reminder, there's only 2 goals with more than half the game left, so they can still do this. Just got to quiet Seiko down a little bit. Even more than that, they need to see at least a little bit of prolonged time on the opposing side of the field. Chaussette going to give them exactly that. Back down again, Castillo infield. Archie, he needs it.
Wow.
Instead, that's a lot of players committed. Still got possession of the ball. Lower boost now for everybody on the field. And that includes Chaussette, who couldn't find any way of opening up the defense.
Oh, that could be it. Here. Oh, what a save as well with the pre-flip from Seiko. They're on the back foot, but they're controlling all these SMPR shots, and they've always got someone ready to block these passes, or even more importantly, the shots on target. What an impressive performance Endpoint are putting up today when they won the first event of this RLCS season for EU. We thought that had to be the peak for them. I mean, look at the run. They beat Misfits, KC, and then BDS twice. How are they topping it somehow? I really feel like they've looked even better in this run through the bracket. It's just a completely different team from Endpoint and Swiss. They found a way to just peak in the bracket play. What a save by Relaying Wave! Castillo must have thought that was in. Not to be, though. Relaying Wave, once again, savior for Endpoint.
Could even be 3 if they keep this pressure up. It's off the side. Archie, he'll be wondering what on earth is it going to take. What is the level of play required to score a goal on an Endpoint performing at this kind of level? There's a demo on the third man. Chaussette, he's got to make this work now. He's got to find some sort of setup. Puts the ball into the air. Seiko has enough boost to keep that one covered. 1 minute on the clock. Shot on target. Not enough. Just trying to get a little bit of a gap in the defense. Find their first big opportunity of the game. Even when they have found those ridiculously good opportunities, it has been a marvelous save just to deny them. Now a chance to make it 3. Not really going to get much from that angle. Asio looks to control. That's just guides the ball away. 30 seconds now, Johnny. Seiko with control of the ball. Seiko with control of the entire series from the looks of it.
Oh, wow. There it is. Relating Wave just finds a way through. Look at the outplays from Endpoint again and again. They are just not letting Semper get touches, and can't really blame Casio for throwing himself at that one. Hard to tell if it's in from that angle. And the posts outplayed him as Metze comes in for yet another goal. Great end to the series he's had. Endpoint completely destroying Semper in these last 2 games. And they have not had to use a timeout to turn this series around. They have just done it. Probably, if I were to guess, based off of bootcamp vibes. I just want to be there looking at their face cams. Why can't we cast from there? Sounds like a good time. Gonna be first series to Endpoint. And Semper have got a lot of thinking to do before the next one gets started.
Yeah, there is series 1 secured for Endpoint. Half the job done as they look to get their second tournament win of the split. They were not a one-shot wonder. They are here to be one of the true titans of the European scene. And now, Johnny, only 4 more games away from being the top team for Europe heading into Stockholm. For Semper, I mean, you can talk all you want between each other, but unless Seiko calms down a little bit, you really do wonder what fight can there possibly be left in this.
Yeah. I mean, they're just getting outplayed, simply. The defense looks a lot more solid for Endpoint. The midfield pressure, again, you have to give that to Endpoint. The solo plays, Endpoint again. Even your team play, your synergy, I think I'm seeing more of that from Endpoint, although Semper have had their moments also. They're just getting across the board outplayed, even in the physical element of the game. They need to just level up in every single category and really just go for this one. Because if they just sit back and do what they sometimes, I think, do too much and just play on that back foot, it's not going to work. Endpoint are just too consistent with it. They've got that rock at the back relating wave who is not going to be out of position at all. You're just not going to get free goals against these guys. Yeah, big changes needed for Semper if they're going to get 2 straight against Endpoint today.
Yeah, absolutely nobody out of position over on Endpoint. And I know we won't be out of position when we come back from this break. We'll be sat here ready to go for series number 2.
Running round like dollars in the wind, bending over backwards just to let you in. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the I'm sick of fighting the things that you said. I don't wanna burn all our bridges ahead. I'm tired of going to bed when you left me on red just to turn up the noise in my head. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and never. I was putting in the putting in the
And welcome back to the Rocket League Championship Series. This is the European Grand Prix, and we have started our grand finals. One set is down. I'm Leaf, alongside me, Greg and Stumpy and Cole, to break down that set. If for some reason you missed, this is a weird time to join in, guys. Kind of weird. I really hope you're watching the whole time, because Endpoint just took that first one there. I'm going to go to Stumpy on this one first, because he had, in the end, Endpoint, but ultimately, it seems to be coming sooner than you'd expect it.
And it has come with no surprise that Endpoint were going to come out incredibly hot in this series as well. To start off by utterly shutting down the entirety of SMPR, it's something I thought would take one series to get into. But they are all looking so unbelievably hot, and they're looking like this is a winning team. They've got a winning formula in sending Seiko forward and then having the support of Relating Wave and Metsonoros behind him. We've been looking at the stats of this, and something that our statistician D-Rector said is Endpoint also making Archie look human. They've near enough halved his score per game compared to the previous series when they absolutely dominated BDS. Endpoint look phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that goal at the end on Neo Tokyo was the moment where I realized that this really was a little bit of a domination, because I think there was actually a missed shot from Relating Wave at the near post, and then somebody's following it in, just able to get the simple finish. You know, when things aren't working, you're still getting goals from it. That's when you've broken down your opponents and you can just take chance after chance and eventually you'll score.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that really concerns me is the length of today's gameplay for SMPR. They look fantastic in the semi-final, but as we saw in the Swiss, their gameplay, and as they go long through the Swiss, can really start to drop. And that's only going to happen more and more as the series goes on. If they go to the third of the best of three sets, it's going to be very tricky for them to maintain the high level that we know SMPR can.
Yeah, there's a lot of Rocket League coming our way, even with just 2. Even if Endpoint takes the next, that is still a lot. 2 best of 7s, while also previously playing a best of 7 in the semis before that is a lot of Rocket League to go through. We got to talk about this next one here. Endpoint Semper going up in their second set here. These potentially 3 best of 7s. I know Endpoint is looking to make sure that doesn't happen, but Semper definitely wants to go the distance here. Let's talk about what Semper needs to do in this next one real quick. Greg, and if you want to tell me what are you looking for Semper to change up here if they change this? I know you did pick Semper.
I did pick
what do you
Semper,
want them
yeah.
to change?
Yeah, I mean, from a point of view of the mental game, I think this is a really tough position for them because they look good at the start of that series. And then as the end of that series started to come through, they were not finding a way through. They were getting dominated, to put it quite honestly. And so in this little break between games, they're going to have to find a way to reset, come in with a new, refreshed mindset. I think the main thing from Archie is he needs to try and wait for his right moment to go for the ball, because I think he was trying to dominate the play a little bit too much, meaning he was going for the ball when he wasn't in the strongest of positions. Give a little bit more to Chazette and Cassio, allow them to break the play down a bit, and then Archie can come in and show the flair that he's got. That's always the struggle with these star players. When they start to try and dominate, it can really throw off the team's synergy and the rotation. And that's why I think Seiko is doing such a phenomenal job on Endpoint, giving space for his teammates.
Okay, well, it's time to see if there's any flippers, starting with chat. It's the fan vote time to get those hashtags in the chat, Semper or End. And we want to see if that switched up. Endpoint had, I think it was around 63% in that first one. It felt kind of close. I feel like that might go up from here. Now it's time to see if we have any flippers on the desk. So let's bring up our predictions before. We had a back and forth one on this one. I want to start, though, with the guy that had, as Johnny said before, pre-flipped. You already said you were going to flip. Is that staying true, Stumpy?
I can't lie to past me. I would never forgave myself for it. So I will say that I'm going to continue flipping, and Endpoint are therefore going to be the team that I go to. Now, I said they'd win the final 2 series, which literally can't happen now, but they will then win this second series. Honestly, they look like they look like a team that know they are capable of winning. They're in that same space. We said earlier on, I don't want to go over it all again, but being in the same area and just being able to look at each other. I mean, Eclipse, he literally jumped up when they scored and he was like, yes, come on, we can do it. That is something that you just can't convey online. So Endpoint, this is your series.
I think sorry, go on, Leaf.
No, I am not the most important person here.
Sorry, apologies. I was going to
disagree.
say that I think that first sentence that you said, Stumpy, confused me so much. I didn't know where you were going with it, but I'm going to flip too. I'm just like, what? I've got a feeling that, because let me tell you something. Endpoint in the second regional, the one where they didn't make playoffs, they were reverse swept in the Swiss. So it's actually what Gregan was saying about how Semper have struggled there. I do believe that Endpoint have shown the same potential weaknesses throughout this split. Maybe. And if Semper can get on top of them, there's no reason they can't take this second series and really make it exciting.
Okay, so you're sticking with that. For a moment there, I thought,
I'm Sempering.
Oh, you are Semper. You are
I'm
flipping.
Sempering,
You're
yeah.
going. He's doing it.
Mix it up.
Ugh. I might feel weird here. It depends on what Gregan does. Gregan,
Are we getting some flip-flop
flips? Come on, 4 flips.
Third flip. Here we go. We're flipping into the next one. Yeah. We're going to flip again. I think Endpoint just convinced me too much in that last series. They looked the dominant team. And I think, like we're talking about the online versus in-person, it's going to be very hard for them to bounce back from particularly those last 2 games being in an online environment. It's going to take a lot of mental strength to come back and perform in this next one.
Join me.
I gotta say this makes me feel really weird that I
Flip with us.
I don't know if I can do it, Cole. I might leave you alone on this one. Can I? Do I do it for the memes?
Yes.
Go on, flip with us.
You do it for your heart. Do it for your heart.
Well, my heart says Endpoint, but I'll
don't do it for your heart.
Enjoy your heart.
Screw your
I'll
heart.
flip for
Ignore
you
that.
guys. I will only flip for you guys. I'm just doing it for you. If I'm wrong, though, we have evidence here. It is all your fault. It is. It is all your fault. Chat, what are you doing? Are you flipping too? I don't know why you would. I can see. Yeah, no, that went way up there.
Yes, let's go Endpoint. Come on.
Chat's making me regret my decision here. Let's head over to the skybox, though. Johnny and Shogun are waiting for our second best of 7. Endpoint have made it clear they want that #1 seed. One more best of 7 and they will have it. But Semper is still looking to go the distance by winning one of their own.
Well, I'm absolutely certain a lot of us want to get to land as quickly as possible. There will be a certain team called SMPR that want to see a couple more series of online gameplay, but they've got to get through this one in order to force a tiebreaker series, Johnny. I mean, we're looking at this one. We already know just how good Seiko was in that previous series.
Yeah.
Just SMPR just looking at this and all right, hopefully there was enough time where he's going to at least not be, well, at that level.
Yeah, and it's really up to, I think, Archie to be that guy for SMPR. He has before. There's a chance early on. Reads the down bounce, but Metza's not going to let it come all the way down to him. It's going to be tough. I mean, we've seen Archie have those outstanding performances, but I really feel like Endpoint are just so much better at defending as a team and helping each other out to make it difficult for Archie to have any outplay potential when he finally arrives in front of that Endpoint goal.
If we're making, you know, a sort of long look back, as we do see at least an attempt here, it's going to be difficult to find a real scoring angle. Relating Wave does do exactly that, and suddenly, rather than going direct for the backboard, they increase the width of the field and find this.
Yeah, Seiko just going to get an easy pickup here. No goalkeeper in position for SMPR. You know, you got to make those risky runs for boost occasionally. You got to pick a good time to do it. And, you know, when the ball's in the back corner, sometimes you feel a bit overly safe as a defender. You think, okay, that's fine. They're not going to get it through from there. And then they do before you can get back from your boost grab. A very spectator-esque defending. Oh, that's the dead ball 50. And another one almost, but Archie's able to usher it into the corner and start a counter-attack for SMPR.
Off the backboard, who's going to be first this? Archie wants to take the first touch, lays it off to his teammate. Unfortunately, the bad side of that play is that it takes so long to set up that everyone in Endpoint ready for it. Metza right into the awaiting car of Archie. They go off the backboard. Oh! What a hit!
He's not done. He's not done. Did he waste all his plays earlier on? No, he didn't. Oh my goodness, look at the placement. That's absolutely disgusting from Seiko. Poor Casio in the net, hoping that it's going to be a soft one coming towards him, hoping it's maybe going to hit the bar. Of course, that's not what Seiko had in mind. What a banger from the double tap, high above the net.
Well, usually highlight reels are supposed to take multiple months, maybe years. Seiko's getting one as quickly as possible. Archie's got one back as quickly as possible. And for as good as the goals were that we've seen, this one counts all the same.
Yeah, Metza panicked a bit there. He had someone right behind him. He didn't want to get demoed as he was trying to clear this ball into the corner. What he didn't see is that Archie's right there waiting for him to make a good touch in that direction. Archie with a good read on the play there. And I think just perfect timing, really, to get a goal back, because Endpoint must have absolutely exploded in person there at the boot camp after Seiko scored that previous goal. Bar denies another one for Endpoint. That one is something that SMPR knew about. They're all getting demoed, though. Just like the first series, Endpoint have crushed them, not just in scoreline, but with the physical play.
You're at home and you're sick of us talking about Seiko? Tough, because we're about to talk about Seiko again. 19 goals today thus far. 1.46 goals per game. That's against ridiculous. The best that Europe's got to offer.
And anything above 1 goal a game is impressive for high-level Rocket League, but usually when you get into playoffs like this, you start to see that number drop down a bit lower. And the fact that he's actually climbed and got 1.46 now, make it a bit higher. He's got 2 at this game.
Can we get an update on that one, please?
He's got 3 now in this game, so it's just climbing even higher. Seiko just does not stop scoring, but the assists are coming through as well from the teammates. Endpoint really firing on all cylinders here with all 3 players.
1.54, by the way. Thank you very much, T-Rex. Very, very much appreciated. He's only had 2 games today that he's not scored in. It is unreal.
Third.
We're gonna find different descriptors for him, but quite frankly, I think we're going to exhaust the dictionary at this rate. He's been that good. Tries to go for high-low pinch. Not going to quite happen. Still 2 minutes left. And Metza. Again, as always, this is sort of the Metznaris role. Not getting spoke about too much. He just makes sure that he does his job well. We'll hope that he doesn't quite have a few more panic plays. That's really been his only downside thus far in today's tournament. And Actually, he's being kind of caught out here. I think he might have been getting demoed or getting hit. I'm not entirely sure what's happened to the goal line.
Yeah, Seiko... Probably, rather, Metzner probably expected Seiko to get a better 50-50 there, so he's tried to move forward and anticipate that. But he ends up, again, just off the goal line underneath the ball. We've seen it a few times today. Defenders trying to cheat forward and anticipate where the 50-50 is going. It's always a risk to do that, as we all often see on kickoffs. Still, Endpoint lead. Not a comfortable lead by any means.
No, certainly not. Only one goal. Less than 90 seconds left here in game one. Shot set. That's going to be very dangerous. Communication needed between Seiko and Metza to know who's going to go. Make sure you don't have that double commit. Shot set sitting very deep. Means he can pop the ball over to himself. Now lays it off. Is there anyone on that far side? Looks like Shosset, but we know can get those very subtle touches to lay off a pass. Likely that he could always try and find somebody. Here he goes yet again. Zero boost. He's gone for the flying scarecrow, apparently. Just trying to scare everybody away. Seiko, not scared of anybody. Wants the flip reset. Was not far off it.
I love that. He's just never given up on the play, even if it looks like it's getting away from him. He uses the last drop of boost to get a reset on the ball. And there's another one. I mean, every single play here, Seiko's just making ridiculous touches. And what a shot from Metza. 4-2. 2-goal lead reinstated for Endpoint. And as always, they are not afraid to get the whole squad up for attack. That's Metza diving in as third man, but he knows he's got a clean touch, confidently goes for it, and sends it home.
Quick reminder as well, it was during this same day that we looked at that game one in this previous series, and Endpoint could not hit the target for anything.
Yeah.
And yet, we're getting shots like that. They're not even bouncing anymore. These are the sort of goals that get you extra points in the freestyle tournament we had 2 weeks back. 15 seconds left. Endpoint right back to where they were. Relating Wave, he wants to go on the board. He's not going to quite do so with a shot like that. There we are. Game number one secured. Endpoint letting Semper know that there is no way that this is just going to get handed to them. If Semper want to take this tournament victory, they're going to have to go through and on-form Endpoint.
Yeah, it continues to impress. Seiko, every single game, every single series, he just keeps pulling out ridiculous plays. And you're not seeing mistakes, really, from Relating Wave at the back. Again, we did have one goal go against Endpoint here because Metsunoris crept a bit too far off the line. But these are not difficult mistakes to fix. And Endpoint have been very quick to identify what they're doing wrong. What a goal that was. Get this one underway with Seiko. Absolutely smacking it into the top corner. They definitely have to look out for that goalkeeper positioning from Endpoint when Semper are counter-attacking. That's the one moment that we sometimes see them a bit too far forward, but once Endpoint have been forced back, they're very good actually at just absorbing that pressure and communicating effectively in defense. You know, we talked about or heard from Monkey Moon that he thinks that's the key to victory today. So Endpoint, they've got that in spades. They've never, by at least from what we can see, got problems with the communication.
Absolutely not. So game two underway. Opportunity for Endpoint to get even closer towards a second tournament victory, a second championship to their name. Semper, it's all about finding that extra level because right now they've been performing at a great level today, but it's still not going to be enough. This is a big test about whether or not they do have a sort of ceiling that not only can win you a tournament like this, but maybe win you a tournament over in Stockholm. What we're seeing from Endpoint, we know that they've got that ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, they've got one of the absolute best first men right now in Seiko, and maybe the best, definitely one of the best third men in Relating Wave, and Metza doing everything in between. And that's what you need from a team right now. You need players who are star players in every single role. Seiko being completely unleashed today because he's got so much faith in his teammates behind him. We kind of saw a similar thing from Endpoint last season, although in a different way. Yeah. It was Virtuoso with the demos, not Seiko with the fancy mechanics and the crazy solo outplays.
Well, that's what makes you believe so much. The fact that Relating Wave and Metza can cover a two-man rotation if they need to.
Yeah.
Seiko's done a fantastic job of not hanging them out to dry in that sort of position. But they've, you know, they know how to cover that rotation by themselves whilst they've got a player that's out there doing their own thing. This has been a very, very big roster move for them. Off the backboard, here's Archie. And there's the sort of shots that you need to find the corners on. Let's give his own attempt, and it's still kept out.
Great save by Relating Wave, and even the save before that wasn't an easy one. Endpoint defending well in game 2. They do have Seiko rotating back to help defend as well. It's a lot easier to play with someone like Seiko than a demo main who's gone for extended periods of time. Seiko is recovering quickly every play. And look at the placement once again. It was top left last game, top right this game. Seiko just does not miss. Josette, however, probably wishes he hit that ball somewhere else. You can't be doing that when Seiko's coming at you.
Can't do that against most players, let alone a player like Seiko. Frankly, I'm kind of disappointed that he didn't try and get a couple of flip resets anyway. Seiko adds yet another one to his tally. He's not going to have a third game where he's not scored in just yet. And SMPR, oh, that's a big bounce. Getting, chances few and far between. I go straight back to the only opportunity. Josette, there was nobody back, and he almost overplayed it in a bit of a way. Took far too long. Needed to just power that towards the top corner.
They probably expected there to be someone in the net, but by the time he noticed that, he'd already committed to that controlled air dribble. So he's trying to take the ball to the backboard. Metsunora's fake the flip reset. Archie managed to read that one. Backboard interception. Josette's completely out of boost. Picks up 100 on the way by in midfield, though. Seiko able to clean that up and transition back into the orange half just as effortlessly as he scores into top corners. What a touch by Archie, but Seiko again, as he's recovering, making himself relevant. Now wait, where's Castillo? Archie gonna come right back in for this one himself, and he scores it. Definitely a reluctance to get the whole team forward. Castillo got demoed there. Archie had to come back in on the rotation, but he does put it in. SMPR tie.
Endpoint have shown a couple of weaknesses. They keep panicking on the defensive line. But as you mentioned, SMPR have not taken advantage of it in the way that they probably could have done by now. It's certainly something that could have been further exploited. One each, though. SMPR will be happy enough with that. Archie lays it over to Josette. A little bit more control or a little bit more power, but going between those two options certainly was not the way to go about that. Seiko pinches against his own backboard. Let's team some space. Josette. Over to Archie. Off the backboard. That's going to be an awkward bounce. Castillo couldn't get there on time. The sort of shot that always looks weird when you miss it, but simple enough. Just couldn't get to the ball. There's no one. Archie stuck it under the keeper.
Oh, what a pass by Josette. Unconventional, certainly. Effective. Absolutely. He actually just lands on it, and it comes right back out to Archie, who continues to impress with his placement in the shots. Well played, Josette, making some distance between Archie and the goal that he can easily beat his man to. And they are now leading in game 2.
Oh, how much longer, though? That one was dangerously across the face of the net. Now back on target again. Castillo keeps it away. We'll now look to follow, trying to read where Metzer wants to place the ball. Josette wiped off the field. Now back over to Relating Wave. He's got to go for net. So bouncing awkwardly, Josette knew that he had to make contact. Endpoint have proven that awkward doesn't mean a lack of a goal-scoring chance. That leaves Josette by himself, though, at least for the time being. Metzer couldn't get contact. Called off actually by Relating Wave off the backboard. Hits the crossbar, and it's still 2-1. Endpoint unrelenting at the moment. They want to find this one more opportunity. They don't want to give SMPR any extra looks to get back into this series. Off the backboard one more time. Now Relating Wave on the chase. Castillo, low boost, has to get hold of some small pads. He's done just enough. He's got the reinforcements. He had less reinforcements. Seiko has made it 2 each.
Drop down pass comes in for SMPR at one end. Castillo didn't get there in time. Happens at the other end for Endpoint, and they do have Seiko arriving before the ball bounces up out of reach. Endpoint more willing to commit that last man. Of course they would do so in the final 15 seconds. They've done it again. SMPR, you feel like they need this, or it's going to be such a long way back. It's already Endpoint attacking as the game comes to a close. Maybe Castillo has a chance, though. On the counter by himself. Seiko gets a good touch on it. It won't bounce well for SMPR. Overtime beckons.
Absolutely massive for SMPR. This goal very well keep them in or put them as far away from the European Grand Prix as they have been this entire time out. Seiko got a bit of time. Well, not any more shots there. And he's just very happy to just get over there, throw yourself at the play, and make sure that Seiko does not get any amount of time to really set himself up. But Archie's got blue cars swarming all over him. Still manages to escape, goes to the ceiling. Now he's got it over to Castillo. That's a shot on target. Not really the way that you're going to put that one past this Endpoint defense.
Wow.
And now a drop down pass. Everybody is finding such creative angles to get to each other in offense and to defense.
This is just fantastic from Endpoint. They're showing that they know keeping control of that ball is the key under pressure when they don't have a lot of boost. They're playing little touches to each other in the defensive end, right next to their goal. Looks dangerous, but they're communicating so well that none of these plays are catching anyone off guard. Here's Archie. He's denied by Seiko. Almost at ceiling height with the counter-attack. And more of a hopeful shot there from Castillo. Unlikely to get a bad save out of Endpoint at the moment.
It might have been better off trying to convince his teammates to go for the half rotation. Pass it over to him for the shot. Out of the way, almost a minute and a half played. Seiko off the back. Oh, he's got another one. Hat trick for Seiko. And he's got his team 2-0 in this series.
Am I watching a Seiko training pack right now? What is going on? Every single game, he's just scoring unbelievable goals in a grand final. Right before the first LAN in 2 years. The stat just keeps on getting more ridiculous. 1.64 goals per game on the day. And I think over 1 goal per game has been an absolute banger as well. This is just crazy. Get the man out of free play. It might as well be. I mean, that's what he's making Semper look like. Inanimate objects would do similar tasks against play like this. There's just nothing you can do. Perfect finish after perfect finish for the Wonder Kid from France.
I don't have anything to add. Seiko is just operating at a whole other level to everybody at the moment. It leaves one question only, which is, what's he going to be like on LAN? I'm so interested to find out what that's going to be, because we're fairly confident Relating Wave's going to be good on LAN. We've seen little bits from him across some British tournaments. We know Metanoris can perform at a LAN. Seiko will be the question mark, but right now he is putting an exclamation mark on this tournament. This is the Seiko show, and will he add yet another highlight reel, or can Semper find anything to stop him?
I mean, 4-0 looks likely at this point. Let's see what Semper can do to stop that. Try and get at least a game on the board to make it look more respectable. They've played well today, but Endpoint have played better in pretty much every aspect. I'll tell you who I'm getting vibes off Seiko at the moment is Season 5 Justin coming into that LAN. Same thing. Guy's never played a LAN. What's he going to be like? But this is exactly what I remember watching Justin coming into Season 5. I'll honestly say that I was extremely confident that he's going to be able to pop off in a LAN setting, and I don't know why, but let's get the same vibes off Seiko. But obviously, this Endpoint bootcamp and the face cams definitely help us feel confident about that.
He's about as close as he can be as he goes for yet another challenge. Remember, only 2 games that he has not scored a goal in just yet. That's across the entirety of today's proceedings. Metza trying to get his team out from this position. Semper, I would like to see, a full-on aggressive mindset. I want to see where they're positioning their third, because they've been finding small gaps, but it's exactly that. It's a small gap, small windows of opportunity to try and send them for a goal. And they haven't been confident enough just yet. When we see Endpoint do it, they are more than confident. Here's the chance. Castillo, he's built the crossbar. He's more than ready.
Oh, what a play by Archie. It looked like Castillo just squandered a wonderful opportunity here. Archie bumps the goalkeeper, pops the ball into the backboard. Should have been scored by Castillo, but at least Archie's kept ball cam on, turns around and puts it in on the rebound. Great stuff off the ball there from Archie. We haven't seen a lot of that from Semper today, but the bumps coming in clutch in game number 3 of the second series.
Archie bumps the ball over into Metza. Semper still not that far back, and only 10 good minutes away of Rocket League. Oh, that was so close. Again, shooting accuracy kind of the plague right now for Semper. Esports. It's always been top corner, no bounces for Endpoint. Semper just need to zero that in. Here's Archie's opportunity. Too high up. Casio goes in very late. He's on 0 boost. That's exactly why. 0 boost as well for Chaussette. You need to keep an eye on those boost meters. Make sure they're not going to get caught out, because we know how quick Endpoint will at least go for those counter-attacks. Now Seiko over on the wall. Chaussette more than ready. Archie can actually follow that. Archie has at least attempted to. If it was a bit higher, it might have been a bit more followable, but Endpoint not looking quite as confident this time around. A lot of missed hits thus far. Chaussette, 2 players needed to stop him.
This is a lot better from Semper. Much like when they turned around the first series, it's about that midfield pressure. They're really just going for it now. They're not hanging back and waiting for opportunities that are obvious and clean. You've got to take chances when you're up against a team like Endpoint. You've got to really just go occasionally to let them know that you're willing to do so at any given moment. Relating Wave's not got a good touch on that clear. Will get helped out by Seiko after Archie's backward pass fails to reach its intended target. Endpoint quickly transition, already putting dangerous shots on net. Relating Wave will get first to this, but really important bump onto him there. Archie catches it on the back wall.
Semper need to be so worried about these touches they're getting in defense. They've had a few. Definitely cost them in the last game where they just mishit it and it dropped straight over to Endpoint in a very workable position. Now going to be put right back into there. Archie.
Oh my.
That was brave. I think that's the answer to it. Now he's got a chance to score. Goes straight for the backboard.
Oh wow. Look at Seiko. Just as an Archie double tap to contend with, he catches it and then just turns it into a perfect touch and dribble down the line. Making moves in defense as well. It's not just about those big double taps at critical moments for this guy.
Archie up. Was good enough with the challenge to lure Casio to at least keep some pressure on. Chaussette over to Archie. Wants the pinch. Doesn't quite find it. It's good enough, though, to at least clear to midfield. But that's right back to Seiko. Off the backboard. Double tap.
Oh!
And one of the only times where that first touch let Seiko down and did not set him up. There's no one. Those poor touches from Semper. They struggle to get rid of it in this position. It allows Endpoint to keep that pressure going. And they almost found a goal for it. Fantastic save from Metza to keep it 1-0.
And a nice little angle there from Archie with a pinch clear. Finding a way through the defenders in front of him. Still under pressure though. Not a lot of boost in defense for Semper. High ball is your absolute worst nightmare when you're sitting in net on low boost, and Seiko's at the halfway line. They've only got to survive for another 10 or so seconds.
Metza can't get the ball past Chaussette. And quite a few players that have been forced to hear that on occasion. Archie wants to make it too. He's gone and done it. Semper show themselves signs of life. And 2-0, and more importantly, they've kept Endpoint from scoring. This will be massive for the mentality moving into the rest of the series.
Yeah, still though, Endpoint do look dangerous. I love the start of this game from Semper. The increased pressure, that presence that they had in the midfield. That's what they need to be doing if they're going to keep a kind of a 50-50 matchup here. As soon as they end up in defense, Endpoint look dangerous every single attack, and they overcommitted with I think 10 seconds to go, but outside of being a goal down with 10 seconds left, that's not going to happen for Endpoint. Again, they're pretty good at, I think, going for plays that look risky, but they can actually make it work, as we've seen several third-man commitments work for them today. That being said, Semper do put one on the board. We do still have a competitive grand final here. Not a moment too late, though, as Endpoint getting a third game here makes it almost unimaginable to see a Semper win.
Hashtag Seiko didn't score party. It's only his third time. And Semper will want more of those. Direct giving us this out, by the way. Archie is still participating in 92.8% of his team goals. So it's definitely the offense is going through him right now. They just need to find... I feel like this is good. Like, I like what they're doing. I like that they're getting opportunities. I don't think they're missing those. It is just keeping this confidence, because whenever we see them finally aggressive enough to go and send that third man, we equally get a lot of time where they're just going, okay, we don't want to do that. Like, it's working. Have confidence. Have a bit of belief that you can get those chances.
Yeah, it's all about just making those quick recoveries and communicating them at the same time. If you're first into a play for Semper, and you're out of the game briefly, you know, just making sure you got a little bit of boost to get back into the halfway line area, and telling your team that, okay, I'm gonna be there in a second or two, just don't do anything too crazy till then. That's what will allow the third man to have the confidence to play slightly more aggressive. Whereas, you know, if third man doesn't think he's gonna have backup and he moves in, that confidence is gone. Chaussette misses the target here, and he's gone for placement there. You know, he didn't hit that hard. Still misses the target though, even with the shot being placed as a priority.
Metza, can he get the reset? He's got past one. Oh! Archie keeps it away, but now he's going to need to recover. At least he's helped out by the fact that Seiko couldn't wrap the car around enough to get good shots. Endpoint, though, still getting a lot of those one-on-one situations. They've done a fantastic job of controlling the ball on the transition. Back out, Chaussette. Just kind of drops over to himself. Looks like he was in two minds about how he wanted to play that one. And this is where SMPR have been lacking. Again, clears not good enough, and they're right back into their own corner. But they could finally have got it. That took a lot longer than it probably should have done.
Now, we did see a couple of good reads, though, from SMPR. You know, they're giving that space in the midfield back to Endpoint. They've had some impressive infield pass reads, so what Endpoint have tried in the past couple of attacking plays not come to fruition. Early challenge from Chaussette. See Seiko in the air, you get up nice and early. Just make sure you get contact on the ball. Now he's back to deflect Relating Wave's shot into the corner. End-to-end stuff. The ball just following Chaussette at the moment. He's getting a lot of action here in this game.
Seiko's easy to defend against. Just see where he is and see where your top corner is. Just be in that sort of range, you know, nice and easy.
Between there.
Yeah, as long as you know where that is, you might have a 90% chance of saving the shots.
It's like you're playing Heat Seeker when you go against Seiko. You know the ball's going to end up in the top corner, so
yes,
just be there, be ready for it. Just the only problem is which one is he heading towards.
Seiko had to get that.
Archie should be scoring this. No, he's gone for a place shot as well, though, and easily saved by Seiko. The placement for SMPR not working out. I'd much rather see them just smash these shots on target. At least then, if you're missing, you've got the defense in a scramble.
I like to see them smash them just to make something different, because Endpoint are aware. You're not going to get them to panic well like this. If you get them in a position where they think, okay, this could either be an outplay or there's going to be him just going straight for net, then maybe you can get some more panics out of them, which hasn't really been uncommon. SMPR have not leaned into that strength just yet. Still time for them to do so, though. No goals. SMPR victory puts this entire tournament right back in the balance. Not of a chance to turn provider. What a, wow. All right, that was no messing about. There wasn't even an option for the shot to come in.
Yeah, great read by Metsonoris on the infield pass. Now here he is trying to get his own rebound. Almost there, but just out of boost at the last second. The defense are able to get it clear. Feels like another one of those games where it's almost that must-win territory. It's not an easy bounce, and Archie's missed the read on it. Tough one to know for sure where it's going to be headed. Archie's been unreal today, though, so I'm sure a lot expected him to score. Now he does! Minute and 20 to go. Archie with a much easier read on that bounce. And SMPR do lead 1-0.
No guesswork required for Archie this time round. Just pure power. Drops it down. SMPR have got the goal. And we could be heading right over to a 2-each scoreline. How is SMPR going to deal now with the last 80 seconds? It's off the backboard. Archie, he's starting to take over.
Okay, Archie getting a second one. That was a very confident double as well. He doesn't slow down for a moment. He doesn't give Seiko any chance to intercept that on the goal line. He knows what he's got to do, and he makes it count. Finally, we're getting a response. We're getting a champion from SMPR stepping up to take on Endpoint Seiko. Archie going for another one here. Reset landed. Flick did not.
Here's Metza over off the backboard. Chaussette's already around. This is the time that SMPR can afford to be a little bit more defensive-minded. Off the backboard, here's Relating Wave. There was enough power, and it gave it up. Kept out a second time. The ball pinballing around. A miss in the midfield means that there's a bit of breathing room now for SMPR. Chaussette just dips the ball past the oncoming defender. Now off the backboard. This is for free. Can't quite do it. That leaves Cassio by himself. He has to make sure he doesn't get hit. He managed to do exactly that. 30 seconds on the clock. Relating wave over to the wall. And Archie reads the wall hit very nicely. Easier to do in defense than it is in offense. 19 seconds. It's a flurry.
Oh!
It's 2-1. We have got an incredible end to this game on its way.
Relay wave pops the middle of the wall. Metza fakes the shot while centering it to Seiko. Again, it's all 3 players from Endpoint getting involved late in the game, putting deadly shots on target. They got 16 seconds left in an attempt to tie this one. Relating wave might be able to get a run ahead demo. He does! Archie gets stop that one. Endpoint tie.
They did it against Dignitas. They do it against Semper. Metza right down the middle. 2 each. And for Semper, they've got to turn this around. They've got to not think about it. They've got to go and get this next goal, or they will be right up against it, and it'll be tournament point to Endpoint.
There's 5 on the clock. It's all Endpoint right now. They're attacking again. No boost for Metza. He's going to stay active anyway. Gets a nice pop high for Seiko. No double for him, but here's Relating Wave. Uncontested shot. He's going off the backboard. No touch. Oh, it's going to be a complete miss from everybody. Into overtime we go.
I almost knocked over my green screen. That's how much I recoiled back. Seiko already up. Looking for their 3rd goal, uncontested by Semper. A Semper that are reeling after seeing 2 goals quickly go against them. That's a good bounce to them, though. They can keep this pressure going. Archie sets up. Nobody on that far side, though, to really take the shot. Cassio's in a much better spot. Archie back to Cassio. And Seiko still makes his car big enough.
Great save by Seiko, just getting as close to the ball as he can. Had to just stop dead and hope it's going to come towards him. And Seiko's last man coming in sideways to get a preferable angle to clear the ball into the corner. He's taken out of the game. Archie going to try and place this into the top corner.
No!
All the way himself.
No!
Deep bill
Way!
shot. Semper make it work. Look at Archie go. Everybody's expecting the back post pass. And he just goes all the way to the top shelf. Shot step bumps him into it, but no assist will be credited, as Archie's the only one who touched the ball. Semper tie the series after Endpoint came back late in game number 4.
Semper just heard us talking about how they never send enough players to score the goal. And they took it as an insult. What a way to go and win that overtime. There it is. I just got it in the shout in my ear. Timeout Endpoint. So it's their opportunity to make it 6-0. Where they gone? All right, they're in the background. So I couldn't find them for just a second there. Oh, Johnny, what a breather. I'm glad they took the timeout. I need this more than anyone else.
Shogun, stretch your legs, man. You've got a minute. Come on, take an Endpoint. Take out the Endpoint playbook. Do some squats. I don't know. Just get your body moving. It's the Endpoint way. It's worked for them before.
You know, I'm taking the advice, mate. I'll be over here. There we go. Wow. We're not even offline yet, mate. We've still got all of that to come. What a special series. What an incredible way to round out the online era of Rocket League. And Semper have proven to us something that we were desperate to see. That in adversity, staring them directly in the face, they've answered it. They answered it twice, despite the fact that maybe the second one was of their own doing.
Yeah, they definitely had to. I think Semper, they had to make up for that second goal. It was a pretty risky kickoff, about the closest shoot you could do.
All right, they're on their way back. Here we go. I'm sitting down with them.
Yeah, nice to get the upper body moving side to side. That's clearly a Metzenauer's technique. I'm going to do that one next time I get tilted for that game. I'm actually quite glad
you told me to do that, Johnny. You know when you like tense up your legs when you're sitting? I was doing that, and my legs are killing me right now.
Well, I've been standing the whole time, so I mean, I'm taking the Endpoint strategy to the next level. But man, Semper would have been really, really upset if they lost that game there after such a risky kickoff, an unnecessarily risky kickoff. They should be just trying anything safe at the end of the game when they've already got the 1-goal lead. But as we know, kickoffs are a position that pro Rocket League players like to gamble on, and they wanted to get as much out of it as possible. Archie really just making up for it there. He's definitely the main contender in offense for Seiko today. Hello, Shogun. Nice of you to sit down and join us again. But
cheers, mate.
Archie does so much more than that as well. He really is just a one-man army for Semper, putting in so many saves there. Almost actually saved the kickoff goal if it wasn't for Relating Wave being there to bump him as he lunged to deny Metsunors at the near post. Who knows? Maybe he gets a nice pinch off the post. Impossible to say now, of course. Yeah, Archie able to do as much as Seiko does in offense there, and also as much as Relating Wave does in defense at the same time. It's pretty much up to his teammates here to just not make any mistakes.
Yeah, but Archie's not been as proactive. He's still been, getting a lot of the percentage of his team's goals. And Seiko is going to take an early shot. That should be kept away. It's been less of a case of him being quiet and not attempting things and just being kept quiet. Every time he tried for anything, instantly he had a Relating Wave right in front of him. Here's Seiko, off-angle shot from him. Didn't really generate any power. This game is huge. Whoever wins this gets themselves a series point. Your Endpoint, you're over there looking for a championship, your second one. Drop down, that was awkward. A little bit further back. Seiko there just in time. Endpoint, much more up against a formidable foe this time around. Oh, that's an awkward bounce. Seiko, ready and waiting.
Yeah, Relating Wave communicated early he didn't have that. Now Metsa, free shot at the other side. Cassio's going to get in the way of that one. Not sure if Metsa was trying to catch Cassio pre-jumping here. Oh, he's into the back post as well.
How has this not gone in?
A great rotation by Metsa, keeping active in offense at both sides of the box. Endpoint attacking from all angles. Now the ball's actually not hit the ceiling, and that's caused everybody to miss the read. And almost did it go, surely. Seiko's going to make sure of it, but not before it bounces off both posts. And as the lateral movement comes into play in offense, Endpoint are the team in profit.
It's the really horrible one because Cassio's got to watch the ball go right past him a second time. Well, Endpoint, they tried a couple of different ways of getting the ball past the net. I don't think that was the one that they were expecting to work. It is 1-0. It is now Relating Wave looking for his chance. Almost wiped out Cassio. Well played there from him just to stay away from the oncoming hit. Now the other side of the field, Archie didn't get the ball tapped down for a teammate. Demo play still playing an effect in this series. Seiko again coming in off the off angle. Seems like he wants to stay close to play more than he wants to predict the play, and so far it has worked.
Yeah, you can afford to do that as the furthest man forward. You can take those risks. It's only when you've got that decision to make as the second man in a play, or especially the third man in a play. You don't really want to be trying to cheat forward and anticipate a play that is essentially a 50-50, which the other team could just as easily control as you do. We see a lot of that from Seiko. Gets to show off his anticipation and gets to show off his reads often as the just free bird of Endpoint. They've unleashed him. Lovely back pass there towards the man, but Archie continues on with a bump, and seen a lot of that in this series. The challenge and the big block isn't as effective as just driving ahead and bumping the player in front of you. Seiko's put that on net. That's going to catch up to it. It's good positioning as the third man. The touch is less effective though. Back in the middle for Seiko. Archie's there.
Yeah, everybody seems to have just given up on individual outplays like we got in the first two games. And just decided, all right, this isn't working. I'm just going to get rid of you. I'm bored of seeing you now. There were 2 minutes left. Emper still trailing by a goal to nothing. How much longer is that going to last when Archie can do stuff like this?
Whoa.
Cassio, I think he got tripped up on his way looking for it, but still Archie almost made the play work. Now Cassio back to Archie again. Going to get a second shot at this. Wins the challenge. Up goes Cassio. And well positioned to make sure that the car was immediately in the way of the shot.
We'll be talking a lot about Relating Wave's defense today, but you see consecutively there, Seiko and then Metsa making big plays as well. Relating Wave shoots low, doesn't catch for anybody pre-jumping from Semper. This is extremely disciplined goalkeeping and boost management from them. When will Endpoint mix it up with a boom? Seiko with the mind game. He's past two. He's going to go for the bump. Archie manages to dodge it. What a play. And now on the transition, Archie denied by Relating Wave.
And that's something that you're going to have to keep contending with. Just because you got past it once, just because you stopped Seiko once, does not mean you're done with him just yet. Looks to try and get another attempt at this. Well, not anymore. He is very much off the field after that demo. And that seems to be almost the only way you can really stop him. And even then, he's right back over into it. 1 minute left. Semper still need that goal. It's a good challenge win from Castillo, and the rest of the team's going to come and join him.
Oh, not the bounce Relating Wave wanted. What a save by Seiko. Relating Wave really left him out to dry there. He must have thought that ball's going to bounce upwards, but it's just gone straight into the middle. Not a lot of time left for Semper. They're trying to pass in field, but the interceptions are coming through. Oh, what a bump! Castillo and Seiko have been at war for decades, but this one definitely hit home. What a clattering touch, and the shot was just fast enough to beat the recovering player.
Well, that was a sharpshooter moment, and Seiko was annihilated by that play. And that could be good enough now for Semper. They've got to get another one. They were able to score the last clutch goal in overtime. I hope not even to see that, but first things first, they deal with the pressure from Endpoint. Not the best first touch from Seiko. It's still recovered, though, from Relating Wave. Archie, very high up ball. Castillo will give chase. Oh, it's a miss. Josette will be by himself, at least only temporarily. Luckily for him, it was over in the corner. Not too threatening from there. Relating Wave takes his time. He's probably going to look to try and put this ball onto the ground. But Castillo, he's not liking that idea. He's got ideas of his own. I don't know where the rest of the team was. I think everyone else was very happy to settle for overtime.
Can Endpoint keep up the streak of teams winning after calling a timeout? It's 5 for 5 today. This is the 6th game. Semper trying to put an end to said streak. They still have their timeout available, if I'm not mistaken. Seiko, flip reset. It's gone to the back post and no one's there. Semper have got everybody back here, but Endpoint not afraid of just piling everybody forward to counter that.
Now their chance. Over to the corner. Blue steal, player gone. That's nice, efficient play from Chaussette. Choose to follow. Castillo very vastly outpaced to that ball. Can't afford to make that mistake again because it's left his team open. Infield shot not very well dealt with by Metza. Pressure ramping up over here at Wasteland. Archie can't quite get the boost or the ceiling reset, so he can't follow that one up. Instead, it's up to Chaussette. Archie steals midfield boost. He'll still be around. Looking for that one big play, that one big demo. Both teams are still after it. Oh, what a shot! Chaussette gives his team series points.
Wow, what a free flip from Chaussette. Oh! Look at the placement as well. Semper, 3 straight wins. Endpoint have looked brilliant in all these games, but Semper are just finding a way. And it's all about just getting those men forward, getting those cars into the final third, and taking your chances. What a finish by Chaussette to send Endpoint into a losing position.
What a reminder by Chaussette. He's sick of it. We've talked about Archie, we've talked about Seiko. He's like, guys, I'm the original pop-off player. I'm the one that everyone talks about. Give me my shot, and I will deliver. And oh boy, did he deliver. There was the goal that we just saw. That would have been disappointing if that was the one to win the game. Instead, we got this. This was more than deserving to win a game like this.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
This has been brilliant. What are you talking about? The goal, the game, the series, the day, any of it could apply, man.
Wow. I mean, the fact that Semper have come back here really does, I think, prove that they have got what it takes to just fight back. We always knew Endpoint had this potential under the pressure of a grand final, and it was a doubt for Semper because we see some comebacks. We've seen it, seen even in this tournament. They have managed to come back from behind and win in the Swiss stage, but to do this against Endpoint in the grand final is a whole different, task and a whole different accomplishment. So credit to them. Now it's all about finishing the job and getting that clean reset, leading us into that one last best of 7 for the entire event.
You know what? I'm not supposed to be biased, but I really want it. So we'll see how things go over here. But for Semper, they'll want it even more than I do. All they are away is 5 more rock-solid minutes of Rocket League. If they can maintain their composure, their discipline, and this level of creativity that we're finding for the goals that they've scored, very well be on their way for a 3rd series. And this is the first time that Seiko, despite his best efforts, he's now been about 2 or 3 games much quieter.
Yeah, he has been a while.
Oh, how's he not putting that in? Okay, there you go, Relating Wave. Oh, dearie me.
Well, yeah, he has been quiet, but now finally a chance comes. He actually didn't want to throw himself at that one because he's not sure as he's jumping if Archie's got one other touch on the ball. So Seiko actually had to wait, see exactly what's happening, and make it easy for Relating Wave to score as he comes in behind him. So really good placement there by Seiko, actually hitting the flat part of the post. If that hits the inside of the post, who knows? Maybe the recovery will come through for the defender. Well done by Endpoint. Relating Wave coming forward, getting stuck in the attack. And Seiko getting some goal participation. We've not seen the same kind of numbers he put up earlier in the series, but that speaks more to the numbers he was putting up earlier in the series.
My eyes are just darting around everywhere at the moment. Is it going to be a pass for a redirect? Are you just trying to shoot on net so that way the player downfield is capable of just hitting the defending player midair? We've got to the level of Rocket League now where it used to be 2 players waiting for their chance, 1 player looking to cause any sort of havoc that they can. Now all 3 players on both teams are doing everything they can to be efficient. Seiko, he's got himself onto the board. Last one he had to relieve for Relating Wave. This one he can take for himself.
Goodness.
And at this rate, Champions Field could be inevitable.
This guy is just such a fiend. Semper can't really consistently keep him back. He's faked a fast aerial here, gets a reset on the ball while controlling the mid-air 50-50. That just makes it impossible for Chaussette to space for the challenge. And Chaussette, unfortunately for him, coming in from the far side means that getting across the goal is difficult for that far post save. Seiko accelerates himself with the wave dash and the landing, makes it completely out of reach. 2-0 Endpoint.
2-0 Endpoint, 3.5 minutes left. Lots of time for Semper to show off even more of that grit that they have been very, very capable of showing throughout this series. Seiko wants to try and add another. Put that right into the path of Chaussette. Just wanted to see if a lack of angle would mean Chaussette would get a bad touch. Oh, Relating Wave! You don't need communication for something like that. That's telepathy.
He just knows that the opponents are going to respect another touch for Seiko, and he could see from his angle that there wasn't actually going to be another touch. Seiko continues moving towards the ball anyway, fakes out the defense. They all think he's going to be the one hitting it. Don't see Relating Wave coming from the defensive blind spot. Endpoint lead by 3. It looks like we will be headed to game 7-0 unless we get a bit of a comeback here. He can't miss that one. Endpoint double commit, and that is a horrendous double commit because 2 players are flying completely off into the middle of nowhere. No fast recoveries, and an easy goal for Archie.
You can see Metzer didn't like that one. He's not smiling. That's probably the only time I've seen Metzer not smile throughout this entire thing. Is he not aware that he's going over to Champions Field if this stays where it is? Or will Chaussette give us one more? Relating Wave able to recover just in time. Endpoint will be more than aware of anyone else how quickly 2 goals can go the other way. They managed to score 2. Again, it looked like Semper were throwing. That's Semper looking to try and chase up. Seiko leaves it, gets the call from Relating Wave. Talk about the brilliant rotations and everything else that comes with the time that we've seen Metzer and Relating Wave stick together. They're going to get... Oh, wait a second. What is... How have you done that there, mate?
It's really well played by Archie to get around this and to manage to pop it to safety as well. Still in this one.
Strategy, just pre-flip everything. Pre-flip shots, pre-flip saves, pre-flip the kickoff. I think that's called cheating at that point, but still, you can give it a go.
Pre-flip the predictions on the desk.
I would love to see what the desk would say if we went over to that 3rd series.
That's a tough one. I mean, you got to see the rest of this one, of course, but oh my goodness, Seiko.
We are definitely seeing Champions Field. Seiko has added to his tally, and he's got himself another brace.
Wow, he's done quite well here to land on the far side of the ball here. The reset didn't really work out, but he still gets a favorable 50-50, and not for the first time this game. Semper's immense respect for Seiko has caused him to concede. They're actually expecting so much out of this guy. It's causing them to pre-jump in a panic, but can you blame them? The stuff that Seiko's produced today. Long way back now for Semper. Definitely would have been better to do it right here, right now. Oh, watch this. What a touch and what a finish. Relating Wave gets there. Look at the deftest of assists from Seiko.
Okay. All right, I see your Endpoint. I'm sure as much as I want to see that 3rd series, Endpoint They want anything but. And when you've got plays like that, who am I to argue against you? 5-1. And SMPR might not even need to burn a timeout right now because they've got 1 minute and 20 to figure out how they're going to go about Champions Field.
Yeah, very soon they might as well think about this as a
I wouldn't be surprised if
warm-up.
we see more goals because this is the sort of position where players kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. They go infield, not quite going to find the net. I do hope SMPR are talking this through whilst they've got the time to do exactly that. Seiko, has he got the hat trick? Nope. All right,
Hey.
being harsh right now, SMPR.
Yeah, we're trying to get some more goals for Seiko, really pad that stat, see if we can break some records, but SMPR don't want to be on the tail end of that record, of course. Can they bring out that midfield pressure that has worked for them in this series occasionally? And I say occasionally because they haven't really done it as often as I'd like to see, but will SMPR go out and try and win this last game when we get to it? Or are they going to just sit back and wait and see what happens, find out if Endpoint win or beat themselves? 'Cause I'd love to see aggression from SMPR in the last game. They look good coming forward. I think they've got 3 players who are all great in attack when they strike the ball with confidence. Endpoint have so much more faith in each other and themselves at the big moments. We will be headed to Champions Field, the second series here. SMPR on the ropes, Endpoint on match point.
And faith is a fantastic word to use because it is that faith that's going to now be required from SMPR. They need to allow themselves that level of faith to just send themselves forward. Go for the early challenge. You're going to be out of the play for a little while. That's where that trust is going to come in. You have to trust in those 2 behind you that they can keep the play going whilst you get back. If they can't do that, if they don't have that faith, it is going to keep giving Endpoint the sort of space that allows them to dismantle SMPR just like they did. Oh, dearie me. This has been fantastic. Champions Field on the way. Endpoint on championship point, an opportunity to get themselves their second tournament, the European Open and the European Grand Prix on their way over to Stockholm. Endpoint, this is one of those teams now, you might have got them somewhere pegged in your mind about, okay, outside team. You know, the 5th to 6th spot. Get rid of that in your mind right now. They are right up there, but also they've got a SMPR that are performing above whatever we've seen from them before. What have they got? Champions Field to decide if this is all done now or if we've got to go for 7 more.
This is going to be a good one. It's all about Seiko in offense. It's all about Archie everywhere. Can the star players of their teams show up when the pressure reaches a climax? Endpoint have been here before. They beat BDS twice in Game 7. And they're already up in this Game 7 as well. Metza with a great read on his own forward touch. Puts them ahead, and playing with Seiko will be absolutely delighted to see that. What a read by Metsunaris.
Yeah, 3 players around. Only one of them got the read right, and that was Metsunaris over on the offense. 14 seconds was all it took. And the danger here for SMPR is we've seen Endpoint more than SMPR run away with games. It has been very rare that SMPR have managed to do that. But they're going to need to try and find a way back into this. Relating wave. Wow. Read from him. All right, Endpoint, they're feeling comfortable.
Oh.
They're almost got themselves into 2-0. Archie will clear. That would have been on target. That would have been in. Obviously, no way to quite know that before going for the hit. Now SMPR's first real opportunity at offense, and maybe for the first time, they had too many players too far forward.
What a read that was in the sidewall by Relating Wave, almost setting himself up for a second goal in the first minute here. And both of them would have been from players not named Seiko, so definitely against what we've been come to expect. Look at the control from Relating Wave defense. Mind games one, outplays the second, offloads to a teammate. Doing it all, not for the first time today. Seiko easily able to beat his man as well. Endpoint looking like the stronger of the 2 teams in Game 7 so far.
Yeah, but that can move so quickly. It just takes one outplay or one blunder. And the momentum just shifts. Seiko has not shifted at all from 6th gear this entire time. Archie infield. There's Cassio. Ends up skying it. Shot set. Now Tasso keeping the pressure on. The first real chance here for Semper. Have they got anyone available? No, Archie was getting bumped. He can't turn onto the ball. First real glimpse from Semper. Now they've got to be careful.
Oh, that's not a good read by Cassio. He's recovered somewhat well, and Archie's there to help him out also, but that's a very surprising bounce the Frenchman was not ready for. Endpoint still reading each other so well in attack. They're able to follow up on each other's touches with confidence and recover quickly as well. You compare that to Semper, they're having to react a bit more. They're not reading each other as quickly as Endpoint are. Now Metza puts in a second. Miss came in from Semper at the worst possible time. Metza's crunching clear, putting them under pressure. Cassio, unfortunately for Semper, has crumbled.
Endpoint 3-0, undefeated in Game 7. They are looking to become the kings of clutch and also to become our champions. They're 2.5 minutes away. Archie looks to go for a setup, but that's not going to get out to Cassio. Now Tass the shot set. He's got it past one. Archie looks to go for it. A relating wave. Always in position. Always that steady hand. Drop off. Cassio to Archie. Into the net.
What play by Semper. They are fighting back in the enemy half now. Chaussette drops it down to Cassio, sends it back post for Archie. And of course it would be Archie with the finishing touch, but look at the whole squad. Getting into aggressive positions and hitting Endpoint before they can react.
And not a moment too early either. 2.5 minutes still to go. And only a 1-goal deficit. And finally a bit of momentum over on the side of Semper. They are 0-1 in Game 7 so far this season. Against a team that is currently undefeated. Cassio not able to find the ball. Seiko's going to take this under his own control. Immediately challenged. That's better from Cassio. This is a good position for Semper to find themselves in. Oh, Cassio can turn. He looks for the first-time shot. And maybe for the first time in a while, it actually would have been better just to take the touch. Set up for the outplay on the 1v1.
Semper getting caught out by all these defensive mind games. Now here's Metza looking for a hat-trick. He will get blocked by Archie. You know, when it comes to the defensive end, Semper are not falling for the mind games. When they're attacking, they're biting on every single one of them. Now that's almost open. Cassio will get the ball clear before it drops in front of the net. Less than 90 seconds to go. Endpoint still piling on the pressure. Not satisfied with that 1-goal lead.
Oh, it's a missed hit from Cassio. He's been struggling thus far. Semper have been more open towards making mistakes. Archie, he's got shots set in the midfield. Can get anything set up in time. Plenty of options now to turn around. Fortunately, there's no boost over there to steal. Got back to Cassio. Semper aren't going too quickly, though. I like this. Not taking half-hearted opportunities. So they know just how much that might mean to Endpoint because, well, they've got a player like Seiko there that is very happy to go for the across-map outplay. Attempt there for the pinch. 45 seconds left. Seiko on the ball, but not for too long. Off the backboard. Metznaris, cool as you like, takes control.
Yeah, what a game Metza's having. We knew he could show up under pressure on lands. He's done so before in the past, and that's the exact kind of player you want in these situations. 30 seconds left for Semper. Chaussette not able to catch that forward pass. Metznaris going to carry on and just get more time wasted off the clock. Every single time the ball gets popped. That clock ticks closer to 0. Ticks closer to an Endpoint win. Seiko! Oh! He's done it again!
Could have been anybody else. Seiko has been unbelievable, unreal, unstoppable, and undeniable. 3-1 Endpoint. And they are looking like they just will not be under any measure of doubt. There's another one. Relating Wave gets himself on the board. Everybody has got a goal, and they are heading towards that European Grand Prix Championship.
Well, that just simply has to be it. A kickoff in Semper's favor was needed at that point, and it's gone all wrong for them. You know, what a fitting end it would have been for Seiko Double to be the winning goal, but actually Relating Wave would rather a 50-50 into the net with his name on it. I don't think Endpoint mind. They've done it for the second time this split. 2 undefeated runs through the bracket. They knocked out BDS with 2-4-3 wins. They've gone one better against Semper here for 2-4-3. These guys are demons once they reach the bracket. And I think everybody's an Endpoint fan after seeing the scenes on the face cams.